Hello, I'm John Hoops. I was raised in the Gila Valley of Arizona, about 2 hours north of the Mexican border, and have made enchiladas as long as I can remember. I'm going to show you how to do it. This is powdered red chili, which you can buy. Even Walmart, I believe, sells it. The ingredients that you need to have on hand, you can read there. You need some dried chili powder, some oil, some flour, some kind of broth. And then to make the enchiladas, you need cheese and onion, corn tortillas, and egg. You can put meat in it, and you can garnish it with lettuce and tomato, etc. Actually, though, I prefer to grind my own red chilies. So I go to the Mexican market, or I think you can even buy them. In fact, in New Mexico, they make what's called ristras. These are dried red chilies. We just use ours for decoration, but it's these. Anyway, when you buy it, and I usually buy the variety called California, which I think is just an Anaheim chili. They're green and then they turn red when they're dry. You just pick off the stem and dump out the seeds if you want, because leaving the seeds in makes it a little hotter. It's more mild if you take out the seeds. So I just dump out the seeds. And again, you can use a variety called New Mexico. They raise them in New Mexico, I think probably even in Hatch, New Mexico, but these are they look just like this. They're a little warmer. Actually, you can buy them in mild, medium, and hot. And you can mix these chili powders till you get the flavor you like, and it's real easy to do in a blender like this when they're dry. And I only have to do this every few months because I have a little crock to keep the powder in. The powder really shouldn't be exposed to heat and light, and then it maintains its flavor a little better. But you can just put the lid on and put it in, and it makes it into a very fine powder the longer you turn it on. I did leave a few seeds in this, so it won't be completely seedless, but that's the residue I'm going to throw away, and that's the ground chili powder. And usually I grind enough to fill the whole blender. Today I don't. I'm not. Now that is just bouillon water, and to make the sauce, you put a little oil, a couple of tablespoons, and then you put some flour, and you put the amount of flour that you want in it to make a roux. You don't want it to be too oily. That doesn't have quite enough flour, so I'm sure you can get recipes for exactly how much to add, but I just add it until the flour in the oil looks like about what it looks like in that pan, and then you cook it for a little while, and cooks the flour flavor out. It browns a little bit, and when you get it to about this point, then you're going to add the chili powder, and you don't want that chili powder to be in there very long because it's easy to burn. And all it does is just toast it just a little bit, and it ends up looking like this. And then you slowly add the hot bouillon water. I just use hot water from the sink. Doesn't have to heat it up that way. And of course it starts to do this, and then you just keep adding the water until it gets to the consistency you want it. I like mine about the consistency of maybe cream or buttermilk or something. You want it thick enough that it stays on the enchiladas, but you don't want it like heavy gravy. And so after you just keep stirring it all the time. It's very easy to burn it, and it'll get lumps unless you stir it the whole time. But if you stir it with a whip like this, I've never had a problem with getting lumps. And you need to let it boil for a little while, maybe just a minute or two, so it totally blends the flavors of the chilies and the flour. And I taste it to see if it's hot enough. And if it's not quite hot enough, you can put a little more chili in it at this point if you want. It's really a very flexible sauce. And then when you get it to this point, I just let it sit on the stove, and I'm cutting up a very mild onion. This is a Walla Walla, which we can get here in the summertime. You can use raw onions in these enchiladas I'm making, so you want something you want to you like to eat raw. You don't want something too too strong. And I'm grating up some yellow cheese, and I like sharp, but most people probably don't in enchiladas. And then I also like to put an egg on mine, an over easy egg. I don't put any meat in these, and so I'm just quickly frying one egg, putting it over, and letting it sit there off the heat because you don't want it. I like my yolk a little runny. And so you assemble the enchiladas by taking a corn tortilla. I spray it with oil, and I'll make 2 of them, and I'll just spray them with oil. This just helps wilt them a little bit. And then I put them in the microwave for, 15 seconds maybe. You want them to be warmed up, but you don't want them to turn tough. And you can see the enchilada sauce is boiling slowly. I put a little cheese on the tortilla. Usually I make these in larger quantities, and you can roll these and put them in a pan and then put the enchilada sauce inside, and then you can put the enchilada sauce over the top with more cheese. That's really good. Now usually when I make it like this, which is called Sonora style, Sonora is the state of Mexico right under Arizona, they lay theirs flat. And usually I like to put finely grated lettuce between the layers. You can make 2 or 3 layers. I like the lettuce because it adds a crunch. And so I just put the cheese and the grated or the chopped up onion and spoon on some of the still boiling hot enchilada sauce, which melts the cheese very quickly. If you're making for a group and you don't have time to get everyone's hot, you can stick the whole thing in the microwave and heat it up really well. But I do like, as I said, lettuce. I didn't have any today, but I like fresh tomato, and I was able to get this one out of the garden. We're just having tomatoes come on, so I like to have a little tomato garnish on it. And I'm actually having this for breakfast. And it's a wonderful, inexpensive, tastes wonderful. It's good for breakfast, or we have it for dinner, or we have them for lunch, and you can make them in about the amount of time this video has lasted. It's not very hard to make, and they're just wonderful.